allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So, opportunity for public comment after call to order. First, A1, you want
Yes,
to
Mr.
call
Chair.
order?
All right, Jared Salver.
Present.
Thank you. John White.
Present.
Thank you. Rebecca Flannery. Present. Thank you. Benjamin Johnson. Absent at this time. Kelly Orr. Present. Thank you. Victoria Lux. Absent at this time. Ernest Burdick. Absent at this time. Council Liaison, Councilmember Megan Ebert. Present. Thank you. Staff Liaison, Abigail Mayorga. And new liaison, Juliana Hendricks. Present. Mr. Chair, you do have a quorum of the Ward 4 Neighborhood Advisory Board meeting.
Thank you so much. Moving into the public comment, if you'll do some introductions there.
Okay, Mr. Chair, so our first item today is public comment. If you want to read my disclaimer first. So members of the public may hear, observe, and provide public comment virtually by registering to the following link, which can be found on the reno.gov/meeting website. The link is as follows: https://reno.gov/reno.reno.reno.reno.reno.reno.reno.reno.reno.reno.reno.reno.reno.c. Comments heard on this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the agenda. The NAB may not take action upon any matter not agendized on today's agenda. When you are called on for public comment, please state your name for the record and begin speaking. The timer will begin when you say your name and you will be afforded 3 minutes. If you're an attendee in Zoom and would like to make public comment, please raise your hand at this time. All right, Mr. Chair, I have not received any in-public comment, so if you do have public comment for any of the items or general public comment, now would be the time. Going once, twice. All right, Mr. Chair, and then on Zoom, if you would like to give public comment, please raise your hand. Seeing none, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. There is time allotted at the end. Item A3, approval for the agenda for today, December 19th. Our agenda stands as
is. I do have one request, Mr. Chair. We were looking to see if we can move item C3 to the beginning, if the board is amenable to that.
I'm open to that, yes.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. So we'll move C3, and then we'll go C1. We'll do business items, C3, C1, C2.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Taking motion as amended for the state president. Motion?
Kelly Orr, yeah. Kelly Orr motions, and then can I Rebecca Flannery second? Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you. Awesome. And then seeking agenda item A4, approval minutes from November 21st of this year. May I have a motion for approval of minutes?
I, Rebecca Flannery, approve of the minutes.
Okay, with a motion. Thank you, Rebecca.
John White seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. All right, at this time, we're ready for a council liaison report, please.
Council liaison report, we didn't really have, anything to report from the last, couple meetings we had. First 2 meetings, first 2 weeks in a row. We did, boards and commission assignments that stay mostly the same for council. We do have our new council member, Councilmember Brandy Anderson for Ward 6 on the council now. Councilmember Breakfast has served out. And there was an ordinance passed regarding sitting in or sleeping, I believe was the term listed in public spaces in the city around. We will be could potentially be arrested for these things now. And we also voted on some Title 18 changes that are, there's a lot of different changes in there and updates and code cleanup, and all of those are available on the City of Reno's website. I believe it's under code cleanup. It's somebody wanted to view the updates we voted on last week, is that way they could find the document. It was like 600, it's over 600 pages, so it's a pretty, large document, too much to kind of outline all the specifics, but that's available and we have got that. So those are the updates from the last two months.
Awesome. Then, Abby, staff liaison report?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do have an update, so let me pull it up really quick. I have a presentation. Yeah. Perfect. All right, Abigail Nerga, for the record, community liaison. So I do have a report for today. A couple of things I wanted to touch base on, especially for our non-members in our community. There's a couple of different City of Reno engagement opportunities that I wanted to present to y'all. So the first is the Reno Citizens Institute of 2025. So this program allows constituents from all over the city of Reno to apply and learn about what the city does. So it's a couple month-long program where you go, you meet up in person, you learn about maintenance and operations, RPD, just the everyday doings of what the city is happening. So you'll hopefully be able to understand the city structure, processes, and services through hands-on experiences and presentations. Applications are open now, and they are due on January 3rd, 2025. So it's a great opportunity. I know previous non-members or other non-members have participated, and they've just seen the city in a different light. The county has a similar program, so if you guys have seen that, it's like the Washoe County Leadership Academy, same thing kind of, but through the city's lens. So just want to plug that. If you're interested or have questions about the application, it's no cost to you as well. It is free to the citizens. I think there are limited spots, so get your application in. Great. So that's the first one. The second one is the Sierra Kids Spring 2025 registration for our parents, grandparents. I know our member Egan used to talk about Sierra Kids all the time about her kids and how it's an after-school program. So registration is open. It is first come, first serve, but it is at different facilities and schools that the city has partnered with throughout the area. So it's a recreational program for before and after school. And there are scholarships available based on income. So if that is, again, something you're interested, it's on our website. I have a link. It's on our City of Reno website and the packet as well. So if you have questions, I'm more than happy to help you through that. Perfect. A couple updates on the board for NAB. I want to welcome Kelly Orr and Ernst Burdick. I hope he's okay. He was supposed to be here. On their new appointment by Councilmember Ebert to the board for NAB. So we have 2 new members. We still have a couple open spots, so hopefully we'll be filling those soon. I do want to say thank you to member Egan. She did resign last month. She had a couple of different conflicts, but she wishes everyone the best, and it was great to have her. So we do have a couple openings. 2025 location, we will be moving locations. Unfortunately, the library is no longer able to host us, but they've been amazing hosts, so thank you to them. The new location will be the Stead Community Room at the Freedom Flight Terminal Building at the Stead Airport. So we'll see each other there. I'll make sure to update all the newsletters. Just please tell your neighbors, because I know we've been coming here for so long. So Stead Airport in the community room. Yep. A couple of updates for you all. So next meeting, the City of Reno Planning Commission, they did meet yesterday, so a couple of items went. But the next one after that is scheduled for January 2nd, 5:30 p.m. Reno City Hall. The next Nevada Department of Transportation meeting is on January 13th, 9:30 a.m. Our next NAB at our new location will be January 16th. And then the RTC also meets on January 17th. All of these meetings are also available on their website, and there are recordings. So if you're unable to make it, like the 9:30 a.m. one, there are YouTube videos available. But it would be best to check their websites for the most up-to-date view. Plus the Reno Direct, as we're seeing snow and potholes or whatever you're seeing, if there is a issue that you're seeing within the neighborhood, please feel free to submit to Reno Direct. It's our one-stop shop for information about the city. You can submit through the portal, or you can call Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So it is there for your guys' usage. Also, I know that in Ward 4, there are county pockets and city pockets, so they'll be able to kind of identify what is what and help you through that process. Again, City of Reno Planning Commission typically meets the first and third Wednesday of each month, but because of the holidays, that schedule will be a little mixed up. So just keep an eye out for those. I know it's a big interest for the board as well. Same with NDOT, the public meeting calendar. I just wanted to have this information. If you want to snap a photo, if you want the presentation later, I can send it to you. And then updates on the 395 are through this website. They have a whole webpage, so if you're interested in seeing what's happening or what they're doing, please feel free to go to that website, and there's project hotline and general NDOT concerns as well. Last one, RTC. Again, same thing. Just want to have that information ready for you guys. If you have RTC questions or issues, please feel free to reach out to them, and all of these links. So again, if you need those, I can provide those for you. And then that's all I have, Mr. Chair. If there's any questions for the board, I can take them now.
So going back to the first item that you talked about.
Yes.
Is it every Thursday for like a 2-month period, or
That's let's go to the one.
the reason I ask is
Yes.
that for someone that would be wanting to attend, that also serves on a NAP, how do we navigate that? Like just
Yeah.
like can't have perfect attendance, I guess that's what we have to go through.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know how it impacts the NAB. Jennifer, you said they meet every Thursday. Sorry, I don't know all the details off the top of my head. I want everybody to apply. Apply. It's a great opportunity. It's free.
Jennifer Finnegan, Council Relations Manager for the record. Yes, it is every Thursday recurring, so you would miss it once a month. I don't know that they have an attendance policy in place, but it is a wonderful opportunity. I actually did it before I started working for the city. And it was an incredible way to get to know all the departments, learn about the city budget, and just kind of get the fundamentals of what we do at the City of Reno. So I can't recommend it enough. If you have other questions, Noemi Gomez Martinez is the coordinator of that program. And so we can give you her contact information also as well afterwards if you'd like any additional details or have any more questions.
Any other questions from the board?
No.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Awesome. So at this point in time, we'll move into business items, item B1 for draft City of Reno Public Art Master Plan updates.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Megan Berner. I'm the Arts and Culture Manager for the City of Reno. And I'm here to talk to you about our Public Art Master Plan update. There's a lot of you here tonight. I imagine you're not here for this, but it's interesting. So the City of Reno has had a public art program for over 20 years, and a public art master plan that is also just about equally as old. So our old master plan was created in 2002 and adopted by council, so it's over 20 years old. We, have operated under this framework from that old master plan since then with very few adaptations. And so we are updating our master plan now to sort of reflect changes in the city and different priorities, and trying to address getting artwork out into different areas of the city and things like that. We do have a collection of over 260 works of art. Some of those are temporary, some of those exist in an indoor collection that is displayed mostly in city buildings, and then we have all of our outdoor artworks, like our sculptures and murals. So this, if you want to go to the next slide, I'll talk to you a little bit about the process. This process started in January of this year. We hired a consultant team led by Todd W. Bressi, and in association with Amina Cooper and Jessica Chusik, who are both professionals in the public art world, commissioning and running public art programs. And it involves extensive research, public engagement, and analysis of the public art program's operations. So the first thing that this consultant team did was do a public survey. Some of you may have seen that and taken it. This was early on in January, February, asking people who live and or work in Reno to share their thoughts about public art in the city and in general, and we received nearly 600 responses on that survey, which is really good participation. They also focused, circulated questionnaires to current and former members of the Reno Arts and Culture Commission and the Public Art Committee, which are two citizens boards similar to this. And then artists who have worked with our program and organizations that have also developed work with our program. They also reached out to Reno artists for input. And during the course of this whole process, we have hosted 4 professional development workshops with local artists. During those, they had each a special topic related to public art and how artists can get involved in public art. And then they also gave us input at that stage of the process on the public art master plan. And then the team conducted interviews with city officials, art community and civic leaders, toured a number of the arts facilities in the city, and conducted a focus group with the University of Nevada, Reno, had an art class there. They also did a lot of research, which involved review of city plans, not just our old public art master plan, but the city Reimagine Reno master plan, the downtown action plan. There are several other plans, the Truckee River Vision plan that was just completed. They looked at our past budgets for the program, all of our calls for artists and other documents, and then ordinances and guidelines. So we actually have a 2% for art ordinance that's part of our city code, Title 22, and they were looking at that and the guidelines that govern our program. And then they also contacted 10 public art programs elsewhere in Nevada and the Mountain West to compare and get benchmarking, look at how they govern their programs, and their approach to funding and things like that. And then we also had finally a group of internal and external stakeholders that we worked with. The internal stakeholders were other city departments that we work with, like our planning department, our public works department, that we work closely with our Commissioner of Public Art. And then the external stakeholders were from other public agencies, nonprofits, and communities within the city. And those groups reviewed the plan's progress at each stage of those research findings. And now we are at this final bullet there, the input on the draft. So we have this draft of our new master plan, and we are asking for input from the public. We'd love to have your feedback. At the end of this, I'll tell you how you can do that. I'm going to go through some of the highlights of this plan. It's a 69-page document, so I'm going to be brief, but if you go to the next slide, these are some of the highlights and findings and recommendations from this. So one of the things that we heard through that public input survey was that people thought it would be great to concentrate on some sort of a big, iconic artwork or effort. And so one of the recommendations is exactly that, to launch a signature project or an initiative that will capture the imagination of the city. The second one is to streamline processes. So we have multiple committees that oversee some of this, and sometimes there's redundancy in those processes, and to sort of simplify and streamline those and update our governance processes accordingly, which is step 4 there, really relating to our guidelines and the ordinance that governs our public art program. And then building a more robust public art ecosystem. This one was important to try to involve our local artists more, give them opportunities to have mentorships and sort of ladder up so that they can come in at entry-level projects and then learn more, scale up to larger scale and more complicated projects, and give them that support for that. Next slide. So the plan is structured into 6 sections. The introduction, which I've given you, we'll go through briefly each one of these. Who is Reno and what inspires us? A vision section, the where we are going section, the how we will get there, and then I will not go through the public art guidelines and policies because those are in-depth and boring, but you will have access to this document. So if you're interested in looking into that. Next slide. When it's ready. Okay, so the what inspires us section is really based on that community input that we received at the beginning and from some of the information from the stakeholder groups that we were talking to. you'll see here, I feel like the money should go toward one grandiose thing that visitors have to see, that's even more iconic than the whale. So there's this sculpture and sculpture gardens, light and other tech-based art. Something that a lot of folks mentioned was the light in the sky here, and iconic artwork. Next slide, there's another highlight from this. Murals, Reno has a really robust mural scene. Most of those are not funded by the city, and are on private development, but people like seeing those and want to see more interactive artworks. And then this last one, the artworks that tell the story of the city, was a big one that we heard. And so there's some recommendations in the plan for how to implement some of these things. Next slide. This one also came from some of that from that public art survey. I'm talking about why art is important to Reno, the public art in particular. It's a way to make Reno feel like home, give it character, and make people feel like they belong. There's more of a community that they can plug into. It can tell Reno stories. And so thinking about all these different narratives, history, cultural heritage, all of those things. And then public art gives Reno this fresh and inspiring look, and it also supports economic development. We have an interesting study that we've done around economic development in the arts. That's really compelling. Next page, first slide, thank you. So the goals that they have added in here to focus on for each project or program that we implement, there are 3 goals underlying those: to deliver public art projects that offer a multifaceted narrative of who Reno is and that foster belonging and connection, to engage the community more in the development of projects, and strengthen people's overall understanding of and connection to Reno's public art. And there, again, are recommendations in here for how to get the community more involved in selection of artwork and places for artwork. And then strengthen the city's public art ecosystem. I talked a little bit about this, strengthening the capacity of artists, building the capacity of artists to participate in the public art program. And these are the big ideas that are part of that vision section. I mentioned light and sky. Another big one that people mentioned in that public survey was their connection to the landscape here, particularly the Truckee River. And so the city has just done a process to create a vision plan for the Truckee River corridor. And one of the big ideas was to lead a multi-year approach artworks along the Truckee River that could include temporary artworks, things like performance, and more permanent things as well. Mural of giant size, this would be something working with our planning department to cultivate a partnership with a private developer to encourage them to put artwork on like one of the warehouses along the freeways and things like that. Telling the story of the city, I talked about this a little bit, but they're recommending particularly projects like the Signal Box program that we have to encourage more thematic artwork around that that's related to the story of Reno. And then in the long run, there's a recommendation for land art, so an urban artwork in the land art tradition. There's a really interesting image in the plan that talks about this and shows this artwork that's really integrated into a green belt in another city. So that would be an example of something like that. So there's also an implementation plan that's not attached to this, but that they have created to talk about how some of these things can actually happen based on resources, et cetera. But you can ignore this deadline for responding at December 15th. If you scan that QR code, or if you go to renoculture.com, that's renoculture.com, that's our website. On the left-hand side, you'll see a tab that says Reno Public Art Master Plan Update. If you click on that, you can find a link to this survey as well as the draft master plan in its entirety, so you can read it. If you scan this QR code, it will take you to the questionnaire or the survey, but it will also have a link to this if you are interested in looking into it in more depth and giving us some feedback. And we would welcome any feedback that you have. Like I said, it did not close. It's still open for comments, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Any questions from the NAB board?
Yay. Yeah. Great, well, thank you so much, and if you do have time and wanna take a look at it, yeah.
I'm sorry, we said that time, let's say I was ready to know. Will this, give people an opportunity to like recommend places to see art? Like, can somebody in a community say, we would like to see murals specifically here, or sculpture?
Yeah, so we do. I mean, we are welcome to that kind of input currently. If people have, suggestions, lots of times they say they'd like to see it somewhere that is not city-owned space. We still try to guide them towards resources for that. There's not a specific thing in this plan that tells them how to do that, but we do have programs that already are set up to do that. So our Art Belongs Here neighborhood public art granting program is set up to do that. That is usually an every 2 to 3 year cycle that we have funding for those grants. But the idea behind that is that communities, businesses, community groups can work with an artist, or we can help them identify an artist and walk them through the process of creating an artwork in a space that they identify, a public space that they identify. The signal box suggestion is also open to that. They're suggesting that we integrate the community more into that. One of the big suggestions would be our task forces instead of our public art committee. They're recommending task forces that are committees set up for each specific project. And that would have a lot of input depending on where it is. We would gather a specific stakeholder group that could participate in that. So it might be people from the NAP, people from the general community, city staff, if it's a city building, some folks from our arts commission, because they have some public art expertise, but yeah. I think the idea too is that we really are trying to look at how we can have the community be more involved and get artwork into other spaces in the city.
And I did have one more question, and I forgot to say, so I'm gonna read for the record. What if there was, like a warehouse out there that was like willing to do a mural or wanted to work with the city of Reno? Is that like a private space that wanted to kind of coordinate with Reno to do some, artwork on it? Is that something that they could reach out through the QR code or anything?
They could just reach out directly to me and I can
Okay.
help with that process. The city wouldn't necessarily have funding unless it was maybe part of one of our grant programs.
Yeah.
But generally we don't
Yeah.
run private, but yes, we can help facilitate that. Some of the idea behind that was to work with our planning department because there are zoning codes that have certain requirements either for frontage, facade, and, landscaping and things like that, pedestrian amenities
Yeah.
in certain zones. That public art qualifies to meet those requirements. And so giving developers guides to say, these are really great things to do.
Yeah.
Not only because it'll meet these requirements, but then it, makes your business more appealing.
Yeah. So this is just for instance, what if we had like a large facility building, like a warehouse that we wanted to put a mural on it, would pay for the, materials and all of that, but they just needed help finding what they could call for artists. Yeah, would you partner with that, just with that specifically to help? Like,
Absolutely.
City of Reno's not gonna fund it, but we're just gonna help
Yeah.
find somebody.
We have done that in the past, helped either, through, we don't have rosters, that's something that they're recommending in this, but we do have artists that we've previously commissioned. So often we will have business owners look through, those selections, and then if they like a style or something that they see that they think would fit well for their project, I will help connect them to an artist, or we have facilitated calls for artists before.
Great, all right, thank you.
Several planners and artists. How is the, I know a lot of people have concerned because there's a lot of money spent. How is the art funded? That
Great question.
grant question, tax dollars?
Yeah. So the majority of our program is funded through room tax.
Okay.
Which is visitors staying downtown hotels essentially. So the majority of it is funded through that. We have a small portion that comes from general fund through our capital improvement projects. That's our 2% for art. That is usually $40,000 to $80,000 a year. Yeah, and compared to the thing that we're talking about, when 100 or 1/10 of the city, not 1/10 of the city, one, like, a very small portion of the city, it's like 0.001% of the city's entire budget. So we do supplement with grants from the National Endowment for the Arts. We apply for grants, for some of our bigger street projects that we do, because there's not funding attached to those generally, because those are done by our Regional Transportation Commission, and they don't have a 2% for our requirement. So yeah, that's basically how we fund it. Yeah.
Any public questions for this presentation? Yes. And
Samantha Strasser, for the record, I'm curious, maybe it's in the document and you just, sometimes get to it. Are there any provisions in this plan for the ongoing maintenance of the public art? Who is going to be responsible for it? Is it going to be the city? Is it going to be private entities? How is that all incorporated?
Yeah, so that is covered in the document, the guidelines and policies. The way that our 2% ordinance is funded, it makes a provision for maintenance. So some of those 2% allocations get put into a maintenance fund for the entire collection. It's the city's responsibility. All of our city-owned artwork is on city property, and so we maintain it. It's basically my department. We have 4 full-time people. One of them is dedicated to historic preservation, so not public art at all. So there's 3 full-time people and 2 part-time.
anyone else involved in the question for this presentation? Anyone on Zoom?
Let me check on Zoom, Mr. Chair. If you have any questions, please raise your hand at this time.
We do have our big consultant hanging out, yeah, but he's just here.
Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, at this point in time, we're ready to move into development projects, item C3. We're moving to hear about 900 West Road, UMA.
Good evening. For the record, Ryan Sims, Axion Engineering. Mr. Chair, I appreciate you considering moving us up. I think our request is pretty simple and straightforward, and I'll make my presentation. The site is a 0.83 acre parcel at the northeast corner of Western Road at Omaha Street, basically where Western Road now terminates at the freeway. Currently, the property has 1 house on it and kind of overgrown open area. The house has been there since I think the 40s or the 60s. It's been a single family residence ever since. The request is to rezone this property from SF3, single family 3 units per acre, to SF8. And you can see there an aerial of the site. It's the house and the trees and then the sagebrush area there. If you want to put that one. Yeah, just some existing pictures of the site. You can see it's kind of overgrown. My client, when they purchased the property, in looking at possibility of what to do with it, fix up the house, open it up for development. But it was kind of decided that it would be a good infill housing project in an area that they could probably use it. It's not as far out as some other projects. And once the freeway project is done, it'll have pretty good access to the town. So in looking at the site and possible zoning, it was decided that the SF3 would only allow basically the house lot property, which didn't present a lot of opportunity for development or feasible rehab of the site. So along with the city, we had a pre-app and decided that the best course of action was probably to rezone to SF8. SF8 is the next zone out that also conforms to the existing master plan use of single family. To go any more dense than that, like in SF11, would then be a master plan update, because because that SF11 wouldn't conform to the SF master plan. Instead of going any denser than SF8, the master plan amendment, and it would also create kind of an island zone, what we're talking about. So if you want to go to the next page. This display shows the existing zoning as it sits right now. The sites there bounded in green. You can see it's kind of the only SF3 parcel around. All the lots to the north and to the south across Western Road are all SF8. And then on either side, it's kind of bounded by some kind of legacy large lot residential. So, looking at the next slide. So the proposal is just to zone it SF8. You know, obviously we feel that it's compatible with the surrounding zoning, with the north and the south being SF8 compatible lot sizes. At this point, we don't have a project really lined out for it. Still exploring, you know, what's going to be the most feasible, whether it's leaving the house and putting 4 new lots next to it, or if, you know, it's not feasible to rehab the house and take the house down and then build for the 6 lots that would be allowed. So, with that, I think that kind of sums it up. So, in my presentation, be available for questions.
Any questions from you now at this point in time regarding this project?
Councilmember Ebert, for the record, I've had a chance to, go to the location, and it is a fairly large lot, and there is a lot of, residential, surrounding the area, and a lot of really large trees. Is there, forgive me if you, mentioned this in the presentation, but is there going to be any trees saved with any of this development? Or are we trying to work around that, or are we still trying to figure out what kind of configuration?
Yeah, if you want to go to the aerial photo, just so we can see what we're talking about. Yeah, you can see around the existing residence that there are a lot of, you know, pretty sizable trees. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn to say right now, we're kind of looking at saving the house and rehabbing it and then creating 4 other lots, to develop next to that in kind of a sagebrush area.
Okay,
So if we do that, obviously those, you know, those trees are not up there.
yeah.
So that, yeah, and even if we were to take the house down, and basically make 2 lots out of it, you know, we would try our best to place those driveways and stuff, well, those trees would be left. With landscaping and code, and so we'd be replanting trees with development, so, you know, it's a constant.
Great. And have you, talked to, or has anybody, spoken with the neighbors in the area and asked, you know, how they feel about this, or what direction they would like to see this go in, or?
So far, I've heard from one neighbor, via email. She basically asked us what the development plan was for the property. And I responded that we're still working out. We haven't come up with, you know, a solid development plan. But yeah, no neighbor outreach yet, but you know, I'm open for any questions or comments, and we need, owner reviews as well too.
Sure, just for the record, just a quick question. Can you hear where the property line ends? Is it in line with that fence line for the neighboring property, or?
On the east side?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be basically right there.
Yes, that's you.
Before you lot, let it agree. So you're saying 4 lots on there. I regularly drive around that, and 4 lots seem like the lot size would be smaller than the house lots that are above it.
It would be a little skinnier. Area wise, the lot, because it's pretty long, it's pretty deep, because they would all front on Western. So it's a pretty deep property.
Yeah.
So you would end up with, you know, the width would probably be reduced, and you'd have a, you know, larger backyard.
Okay. Yeah, I guess my question stems off of how do the neighbors feel about that, just because they're used to their space and their lot, so now you're cramming stuff in there.
Yeah, we haven't gotten any.
No worries.
So, and like I said, we're not at that stage of presenting a development plan yet. If we were to do that, we'd come back to the NAB and to planning commission, and at that point, we would probably do some neighbor outreach. But this just being a zoning, yeah, we kind of felt the need, because there's not a lot to show.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Rebecca,
We pretty much have one.
any other comments, questions from the NAB? Seeing none, public comment, yes, ma'am, would you just introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Hildegard Shunty for the record. I wrote the email to him. I was on the day that it was announced. I'm very concerned for having 4 houses in that small area. And, of course, you could make it 8 houses in the rezoning,
Yeah, well,
really concerned.
yeah, technically, because it's 0.8 acres, we'd be limited to 6.
Okay.
6 would be the max.
That's a lot of change for my little bitty
Mhm.
neighborhood.
Sure.
And I reached out to the people across the street, and also I'm the second house in,
Mhm.
so it definitely would have an effect on me,
Okay.
if there's a lot of noise.
Sure.
You're also forgetting that there's an easement in there for utility access,
Mm,
which is why those car tracks are there, so that they can drive up and cure any problems along the easement.
mhm.
And also on that little ditch, right now it drops off at the end of our property,
Mhm.
subdivision property.
Yeah.
And there will be water issues related to that.
Yeah, those are the things that once we get past this stage and start any kind of site layout design, that's a big one. And, like I said, we'd be more than willing to do some neighbor outreach and get any input that anyone has as far as, their concerns about views or noise or whatever it is, and we're willing to listen to that.
Well, it would be nice to have all those potholes on the county roadside, but
Yeah, I should point out with any development, whether it's, lots or tentative map or anything, we will be required by city code to finish that side of the street with curb gutter sidewalk. Do any kind of remediation around the site with the existing curb on the western side. We're required to make those improvements.
so you're talking at least 5 buildings.
Yes.
Thank you, Hilda, so much for coming out and being part of the community and joining the NAB tonight. Ryan, thank you for your presentation. Any other questions or comments from the public regarding this presentation? Looking at Zoom.
Oh, yeah, I do have a question, Mr. Chair. Okay, Guadalupe, give me 1 second, and then I'll allow you to speak. And once you state your name, you'll have 3 minutes. All right, Guadalupe, you should be able to unmute yourself. There you
Hello?
go. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello. Hi, I'm Guadalupe Arroyo. I'm the neighbor across the street. Just showing up. I'm listening to everything and I'm here for that neighborhood outreach when you guys are ready to propose your plan on that Western Road. So I'm just here showing up for my community.
Sure.
Thank
Guadalupe, this is Ryan. My name and phone number and email are on the documentation for the public hearings. So feel free to either reach out to me or the city planner. And we can, get whoever wants to be part of that process, we can take your name down. And when we get to the point where we have a development to present, then we'll certainly reach out.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you, Guadalupe.
Councilmember Ebert.
Yeah, I do have another question. Can we go back to that map real quick, with some different colors and different, yeah. Okay, so your parcel, the little kind of triangle piece, right? And then right directly above are those, several yellow parcels, correct?
Yeah, ours is, bounded in the green.
Oh, yours is up above there, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so in comparison to the ones below it, your parcel would be able to be divided into how many parcels?
6 allowed by zoning.
Okay,
Like I said, we would have to vary the lot width a little bit to get 6 in there, but the overall parcel areas would actually, maybe a little larger because we're,
okay.
but it's gonna be similar to that.
Similar to that
Those lots
configuration,
down
those 6 strips,
Yeah, similar to the stuff south of Western.
okay.
And just to clarify, Church, so there's above, like, it's those SF8, all those houses are also SF8?
Yes.
And that's the zoning that you're requesting is of
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other public comment at this time? Seeing none, thank you so much for your presentation.
Yeah.
The next step for this, agenda item is to go to planning commission on January.
Yeah, I believe we're, slated to be on the January 2nd agenda. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. All right. At this time, we'll move to item C1. Is it Opinion? Thank you.
Hey, everybody, my name is Dylan Russ. I am with Oppidan Development Company. We're a 100% family-owned private company that is proposing the data center here on Virginia. It's a couple miles up the road. So go to the next slide. Here's some very high-level details on the site. And then later we can get into, data centers, if anybody has any questions on the specifics of, how data centers operate and how this functions kind of in a broader landscape of data centers, we can get into it. But the 7-acre site, zoned in industrial commercial with a master plan use of industrial. We've been working pretty closely with staff to make sure that we're meeting all of the code required sustainability requirements, but also adding in a few additional sustainability requirements which we can get to later. And some of them will not be reflected in this because we've been working closely, given some of the conversations that have taken place at Planning Commission the last couple days. So the kind of the broader landscape of data center kind of 101 for everybody is you have tiers of cloud storage and data storage. I think starting at the beginning, pretty much all of the internet is hosted in a data center facility similar to the one we're proposing, but oftentimes a lot bigger, some of the ones that are out in Cray. So pretty much when you're getting, when you're browsing the web using your phone anywhere on Wi-Fi, it is still a wired connection through your router. So it all kind of, it comes back to one of these data center facilities. So at the high end, you have the hyperscale facilities, which are, can be million square feet, hundreds of megawatts, and those are, those can serve areas close and areas far. Then you kind of scale down and you have co-location facilities, which are typically, co-location is becoming really popular because of the advent of AI. And there's a lot of companies that are now having, technology that, they're smaller companies that need more and more cloud capacity. So you'll have groups building co-location facilities that they can sublease it, just kind of like, a multi-tenant industrial building. So they'll be able to host some of their data and serve their clients using these remote facilities and renting storage space, server space from those facilities. And then what we're proposing is Edge, which is then just a scale, a step below that. They're newer to the, you know, I guess it's still only 25, 30 years old as an industry, you know, how we know it now. But Edge data centers are really, they're smaller in both size and energy and storage capacity. And their main purpose is really to increase network speeds and serve the surrounding areas. So, you know, in this case, not to sound like I'm pitching, but it is to serve, you know, Reno and speed up, you know, network speeds and what's called latency, which is the speed at which, you know, data goes back and forth between the server and the end user, which is all of you guys. So this is our proposed site. So it's a 60,000 square foot building. I'll hit on kind of the main points of the design here. So on the north side, we have generators, which are emergency generators. They get tested once monthly, but other than that, unless, you know, there's a power outage, those would not kick on. Down to the south here, we have water tanks. Similarly, that's just for resiliency in the case that we're not able to get, you know, something happens to our pipes or something bursts, or we're not able to get water to the facility. And, you know, these facilities are generally built with a significant amount of redundancy, just because, I mean, the main reason we're here is because they run 24/7, which is the requirement for our conditional use permit. But it's very important that these facilities run 24/7 and do not have any interruptions, just because of the use. And I don't think I have to go into the weeds too much on that, but everybody's on their phones all the time. Then we have parking, 19 parking spaces out front. In the back here, just to clarify what everything is, this is our trash enclosure. And then we have an 8-foot palisade security fence. There's some renderings later, so you guys will be able to see exactly what this is going to look like. And then so the change here is along the north border, and then along the west, we're putting in, we're going to put in panels. There'll be a, you know, solid fence along those, both for, you know, additional sound mitigation, just to, you know, with the residential neighbors on the west, and also just for sight. So, you know, I won't spend too much time on traffic. It is a huge, I think, a big thing to note for all of you guys, with there being, you know, not many employees, which that is something I'm sure not everybody is psyched on, but it does come with the benefit of there not being a lot of cars coming and going. I mean, what's previously approved on the site is 150,000 square foot industrial site plan. And so, you know, with that comes a lot of, you know, big trucks nonstop during the operating hours. So, you know, it's a certain, I'd say, huge pro to our proposed project relative to what is approved and could go there if there were a development and a user to come to the market. We have Barb with Stantec here, who's she's with our civil engineer, and she is also a landscape architect that has done a lot of work around Reno. But pretty much, you know, we've designed our landscaping to code, so we have the required number of trees. I mean, Barb, do you want to speak?
Sure.
To the landscaping?
What?
Yeah, you know better than I do.
Okay, for the record, I'm Barb Tanner, landscape architect and planner with Stantec here in Reno. So for our landscape plan, we have several requirements. One of them is to landscape the entire front yard. So we have that's along the entire frontage, and that is a tree and shrub requirement. Then we have street landscaping requirements, which are required on all the city arterial and collector streets. And of course, that's what North Virginia is. So that line of trees that you see fulfills that requirement, which is one
class 4, kind of large shade trees 30 feet out of center, plush shrubs. And then we've got parking lot landscape requirements, which is on kind of the northwest side there. There are 19 spaces, and technically we have 2 trees required, but there's also requirements for the tree within 75 feet of each parking space, so there are 5 trees over there as well. And then there's some additional trees in the front yard, to kind of just provide screening of the building. So you'll see some of the simulations further that it's pretty heavily invested here.
We've kind of touched on screening, but that's the fence, that we'll be using with the panels on the north and western, boundaries. Oh, I guess, yeah, I did touch on this. So for the generators and the water tanks, and you'll see that the renderings do a pretty good job of showing what it'll look like, but those are screened, as well from, North Virginia as well as the neighboring properties. And this is just a slide to point out some of the sustainable measures that we're implementing here. You know, these are big power users. They are big water users. Fortunately, our, building is on the smaller side of what can be proposed for data centers and typically is. But we have, main thing is it's, we're solar ready on the rooftop. We have the conduit in place for future EV charging stalls. We're still currently assessing the viability, and a lot of it is in conversations with our tenant, whether they would like to install solar and EV. We have bicycle parking and shower facilities. And then, mainly it's 100% LED lighting, as well as low flow fixtures inside the building. And then we have a few renderings, so. Unless people want to look at them longer. So, I think the point, I guess, maybe another question you guys all have is who am I and who is the company I work with? So we're out of Minneapolis. Like I mentioned, we're a family-owned real estate development company that's been around for 35 years. We kind of have 2 facets of our business. One, which is working with clients and tenants and businesses that need a physical plant or a brick and mortar retail store, in this case, a data center. And, we've just, 30 years of doing business. I haven't been working there 30 years, but have, gotten good at traveling with clients and helping them navigate new cities. We try to use as many local resources as possible, but that is kind of our bread and butter. So this whole building has been in tow with a big tech company that is kind of built to suit their needs and build the spec, and so it's been hand in hand with them, and it's to serve the community ultimately. So, any questions?
No. Quick question. Were you local or are you also local? Yeah. And then, so with that in mind, the amount of trees, compared to what's there now, it's gonna look nice. But how is it gonna be? Are you gonna be maintaining, and who's gonna be maintaining all of that? Is it all in the city? Where's the water coming from?
We have,
Lining it out? Are you waiting on natural?
have
Have you looked at that?
there'll be irrigation water, and then we'll maintain it as well. We'll have a property management company.
Okay. I might add though that most of the plants are pretty drought resistant, like chosen. That's why I asked for local, so yeah, I've been touching those for over years. So, and, if we do have to have an irrigation system, but we're mostly looking at more drought resistant plant material, about I only point that out again more so out here, because we are different than down south. So when we're doing projects down south, I get those plants, we were completely different. Things here. Same with the trees that you're gonna put closer to the parking, I get that needs to be the shape of. If you're gonna put a tree that's gonna get too big, it's gonna fall down, now you just have no tree there later down the line, so. Yeah, so just thinking ahead on that part of it, that was my question. And then I have one other thing, was the EV you said, bringing in, are you bringing in EV for employee only charging, or are you bringing EV in for, public charging?
It would be for employee only, being that we have it's a secure facility.
Yeah.
And so it'd be behind the security fence. You need a badge or code to get in.
Also, could I add that I don't know if they're a maintenance question or it comes to second lecture, but I believe that the owner of the property was man, and maintain all the landscaping. Wouldn't be on the city. That's good. Thank you.
Yeah, John White, are you gonna develop the whole physical plant as you've been presenting at once? Or is it gonna be piece by piece?
Great question. I should have touched on that. So it's a 60,000 square foot building. The warehousing or the data hall space is being split into 5. So, we have 8,000 square feet of admin space, as you enter in here. And then the remaining 52,000 square feet is gonna be divided into 5. And it's phased development, meaning, I think the first, for anybody who knows all their power stuff super well, it's 1.8 megawatts in 2026, or the substantial completion, which I think at this point might be early 27, and then it'll be the addition of 1.3 megawatts each year. And building out, that's the plan currently, and that's what we've been working with NV Energy. That's what they're planning on the grid. Rebecca?
Rebecca Flannery for the record. The water tanks that you were discussing, how does that work and how much water is necessary to fill them?
So
And where's the water gonna be coming from?
So it'll be city water. We've been working with Tumwa. So they'll ultimately service the water. Each of those tanks is 50,000 gallons. And how we've designed it is we directly connect into those tanks, and they're circulating, or I guess it doesn't really circulate, but it enters the facility that way, so there's no stagnation and.
Keep the data center cool like that?
Oh, right, yeah, so, yep, so this is cooled through an evaporative cooling system. There's, I think, there was a data center that just went to planning commission that had, cooling at the rack level. The give and take is that you can have, and we, dependent on climates, like this is a dry climate, but if you're in a more humid climate, there's a mechanical cooling system. But the trade-off is, so mechanically cooled buildings, use coolant, uses less water, but then, you have that much more mechanical equipment, so the power ask is almost double. So it's kind of the give or take on.
You said you're already working with NV Energy to supply power. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Kelly, please.
Kelly Moore for the record, lighting, exterior lighting, do you have any diagrams or what that's gonna look like in OMID at night or along the walkways, the path?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have anything here, and my answer would be it's per code.
Yeah.
But I can get you an answer on what a photometric plan looks like.
No, perfect. My second question is that area, can we go back to the slide that shows the street view on Virginia? There's plans to have it widened, and your plan kind of shows everything brushed up to those narrow lanes of one-way traffic.
We are gonna have a turn.
Right.
We just had a call, I don't know, 2 weeks ago with RTC to coordinate all of that.
Okay, so you've been in contact with them.
Yes, we're aware of the road widening.
So are your plans gonna change then, that remnant of what it's?
The
gonna look
entrance,
like?
yeah.
Yeah, well, just how far, cause that lane, that's going to in a sense, 2 lanes.
Mhm.
It'll be double, so all those trees that you put along the street will be just ripped up and tossed into the trash.
Here's the answer. I think we have an answer.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I
Yeah.
did look at that, we were just looking, because we just had a meeting with the RTC, again, Bart Becker, and it does fit, because it looks like there's gonna be a 12-foot wide parkway from the back of the curb to the multi-use path, which is 10 feet wide.
Okay.
And so we might have to shift the plans a little bit, but it will fit in the area that we're showing.
Well, thank you. And one last question, do you already have a person to put in there? Because I know in your line of business,
We do.
yeah.
So we've, this building, you know, we've just actually delivered
El
this.
Paso, Texas is one that you've done.
El Paso, we're working, we haven't started there yet.
No, January.
Yes, correct, exactly, yeah. But we delivered in, are you from El Paso?
No, but I looked you up.
Okay, yeah, and we
So we know
delivered,
the land very well.
you do? Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, we just delivered in 4 markets in the Midwest. And then this will be probably the 8th or 9th, municipality that we've built in.
So like cold weather, dry weather, obviously those things
Mhm.
different from like the Milwaukee, or not Milwaukee, but that cooler, colder climate.
Yeah, like the first 4 were in Columbus, Memphis, Des Moines, and Lake, Kansas.
Chicago.
Chicago's one where, we're under construction in Chicago and St. Louis now. And then, El Paso is next.
No, perfect. Thank you so much.
So, Jared Fowler, for the record, just to clarify, the tenants that, it's gonna be one tenant by themselves, built in phases because
Yes.
of their, working with the NV Energy and other resources to go in a phased approach for
Yep.
each, for specific region or atmosphere that you're building.
Correct, yep.
Great, thank you.
One last thing. I don't know if it's a dumb question. Does this open up possibilities for us to have other services in the area? Say, we're limited to 2 services, AT&T and somehow. Does that open up possibilities for like Verizon to come in or anything like that?
I don't think, no, just that that's telecom, and this is mainly it would be to speed up your
The people that-
yes,
Okay.
in so many ways.
Does it like open up the amount of data? Does that make sense? So like,
It's additional,
So
yes,
stores-
additional.
so it stores some of the information so that the residents will have not such a cluttered space for our data, or is that the purpose? Like,
It was to speed up the rate at which you can get access to your data. So for instance, if wherever your cloud storage may be, perhaps it would be, temporarily hosted here in a facility closer by. And this is definitely beyond my scope of, and, knowing exactly how
sorry,
the
that's
tenants
what you
operate.
All right.
I have one more question. I'm sorry. I know that the other sites that you guys have done across the country are bigger. You said what in mega
So this,
watts?
there's kind of 2, they're not just it's mainly to speed up latency. Like, again, not to be repetitive, but so there are 2 prototypes. This is what's considered a 5 megawatt critical, and we get to that 8.2 because of, back of house, mechanical equipment, just other uses of power.
Okay.
And then we have a 10 megawatt critical, and for a similarly cooled evaporative building, I think that to the utility is a 16 megawatt request.
Okay.
Jared Fowler, for the record, last month we had a similar presentation for the joint property, next to Amazon. The question is that based on this client and what they do, how much taxes are we expecting to achieve from this experience from a data?
So I know that the other group presented exactly, or their estimates on taxes. I don't know the exact amount, but, it's roughly a $75 million. They're expensive buildings, mainly due to, the significant size of the generators, all of the mechanical equipment, and these are large fans. And this is not even including the I don't have the exact figures, but it's not, you know, I guess I don't know how to judge what is a substantial amount of taxes and what isn't, but it's sizable. A
You
sizable
have your
development.
building permits, and then annually it's based on what's back to the building, like,
Yeah.
hey, this is the server, therefore we get taxes on that.
Yes, would that be considered personal property, but yes.
Yep, great, thank you. Please, go ahead.
Yeah. That's not remember the word. So this picture specifically, it's showing a comparison because, you know, view from Brennan Road existing. Is this the exact parcel that this project is proposed for? So this would be the change. Okay, and then can you show the type of fencing proposed? Again,
With the actual, with that.
yeah. Okay, so which way would the essentially site be pointed?
Out.
Okay.
There is, yeah, it's an anti-climb, it's called anti-climb palisade.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I understand the desire to keep people out, but just from an aesthetic appearance, this looks like steel fencing. I'm just gonna say it, like, this doesn't look pleasant to me. I mean, it's more tidy than the last, than what's currently there, but to see essentially pointy bars around the building gives jail to me. It doesn't look like a high-tech, development. So I'm just gonna kind of give you that feedback. The noise, you said that you don't have any noise numbers, you could tell us what the noise would be generated.
The noise, so at night, we have to be below 49 decibels, and
Okay,
we're in compliance with that. But we're adding essentially what we're doing is we're adding, bat insulation to the roof, so additional thickness. Because these servers, I mean, this is a smaller building, but especially on a larger scale, the servers are actually, sometimes you can hear the hum.
yeah,
So we're including insulation on the roof as well as then, panels on that fence, which typically is, maybe that would make it look nicer. But it's just a see-through palisade fence.
okay. So, board member Orr was asking some questions about other projects. Have you completed any projects of this nature anywhere else? Like this size of, data center anywhere else?
Yep. So the first 4 that we just delivered this summer, 3 of them were actually the larger 90,000 square foot building. And then one of them, which was in Des Moines, is this exact prototype.
This design,
Mhm.
okay. And how much power did you say is this facility would?
8.2, 5 years from now,
8.2.
megawatts.
And
Sorry.
can do you know, like, 8.2? Do you know, like, the equivalent of how many houses that would be?
I do not know the equivalent number of homes.
Okay. I might have other questions.
All right, is it okay if we move to the public comment at this time? Any questions, I'm sorry, from the public regarding this project? I'm gonna start, here in the front, please. Introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Christina Del Villar, and I am a planning commissioner here in Reno. I represent Forest Board, and I was at the meeting last night. And I just wanted to share, I guess, so can I ask questions now, or is this comment, or like? Okay. Some of the concerns that we had with the site, that we're being planned for, is like sustainability and e-waste, right? Because you service and blades, you go through them pretty fast, like every 3 years we have to replace. And Reno itself does not have a good sustainability program for that e-waste, but I think it's really important for you guys and every other data center that's looking and coming here, we should have a plan for that. I think that's really important, especially for our neighborhood. Other questions and concerns that I have is, these are huge sites. And I love that it's not gonna cause a lot of traffic, but what it means is these huge sites have very, very little employment, that comes with them. The one that we worked on, last night basically is using the energy of 3 Allegiant stadiums in Las Vegas and is only employing 17 people. This is a huge concern for our ward. And I think that we need to be considering that. And just in general, more questions to you and concerns I had with the ability of Reno Fire to be able to mitigate and suppress any fires, and then also what would be the containment that would come from the use of foam, or whatever chemical you would need to put out an electrical fire. So again, these are just a lot of the concerns that I had, that weren't necessarily addressed. The other question I had is just, kind of goes to piggybacking with, Councilmember Ebert, is the energy usage. I just have concern with the amount of data centers that might end up being in North Valley and where this is coming from. Yours is small, way smaller than what we were looking at yesterday, and I appreciate that. But it's something that we should be thinking about holistically. Do they actually have to put in a substation just to power it? And I heard a lot of concerns from residents that our rates would go up for that energy. And again, so these are just some things that came up that I have concerns with. I know we're going to be presenting to the board and probably before then as well. But I just really want the public here to understand that these are really critical things that you guys should be thinking about and understanding and helping be a good partner with the folks that are looking at the building.
Thank you.
All right,
Yes, I wanted to make sure you understand that ND Energy is very inconsistent in our area. We have power outages every 2 weeks or so. And it might be for a minute, it might be for 3 hours. It is, I have my own solar panels, and when it's snowing, they are covered. Your building panels, if they are on the roof, will not be serviced, but if you put them over the cars, they would be easily serviced to keep the snow off. So over your parking lot, put them there where you can access them. And otherwise, you're gonna be snow covered, maybe for a week or two for your solar. Also on your generators, on my Tesla wall, there is enough of a drop between my Tesla switching power to my NV Energy that I've lost 2 backup computers in my work. So this is it costs nothing, you know, for maintaining some equipment like mine. But for the type of equipment you're talking about, if you have those drops and outages frequently, you're going to need to control very carefully how the power is used, or you will lose data and maybe machines. I've lost machines.
I think we have one in the back.
that's correct. Yes, if you didn't finish yourself again?
My name is Kelsey Benno, for the record, and I just have some questions, and concerns about the strain on resources for our area, and then what is the environmental impact, because it really seems like your sustainability, that you described is the bare minimum for, something like this. The waste heat that it's going to produce, the amount of water that it's going to, utilize is, going to be tremendous for our area. And so, since you're not from around here, I love this community, and a lot of people use it as a dumping ground, and I would hate to see that, with a data center here. So, I have great concern that it's going to take up so much land, only give us 6 jobs in the area, and it's only, you're gonna put in EV, which is awesome, but it's only going to be for the employees. It doesn't sound like it's gonna impact us positively. So, that's all that I want.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hi, Nancy Strasser to the record. Can you clarify when you say like increasing, no matter who your provider is or what kind of internet service you have, if this facility goes in, that means that everyone's speed is going to increase up here?
Well, no, that is not correct.
Okay, so I'm confused about that.
Yeah.
Cause you said it was going to.
Well, it would be, you have a lot of apps. So perhaps one of those apps. Yeah, so,
Perhaps, right?
well, I mean, I don't know what apps
Can I
it is.
explain it a little?
We can have, would you like to explain? You're 3 minutes, so she will be,
I would like to explain, the only other concern I have is, has wildfire risk been assessed for this facility yet? Because that's a pretty high risk fire area. We've had fires on city lines very recently, and fires around here increasingly grow out of control and large very quickly. So I'm just curious if that has been taken into consideration.
We did not look into greater fire risk in this area.
Not
But-
pretty.
I would appreciate some clarification.
Yeah, so basically, what is the data center, what is data center in general, and I'm not trying to generalize, and you can add comments and all that. You have what are called tenants in there, so the tenant might be somebody who is providing you a service, or it might not, it has nothing to do with the community or speaker, is that all?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, sorry, Sean.
John White for the record. Most of the comments here are from, Humwa is will serve whoever they want to build. NV Energy is will serve whatever they want to build. The problems that we're seem to be having are more with those agencies. Perhaps they should come in sometime and discuss what they're willing to do, especially with a facility like this. It's nothing to do with these business people.
Councilmember.
Yeah, that's one reason for the record. I'm glad somebody brought up the insurance aspect of it. I didn't think of that at all. But I am aware that there are several insurance agencies that are pulling out of the area and are not writing policies to fire risk factors. So you might actually want to look into that if you haven't done so. It's been a struggle for people to buy homes, which is a little different. But I know that there are several insurance agencies canceling policies and no longer writing policies in this area due to fire risk. But yeah, again, to other people's points about the number of jobs, yes, it will be less impact on the traffic, but they're going against traffic anyways. Like everybody that lives out here knows that. They're gonna be coming in or going out, you know, or whatever their shifts are. You know, it's not gonna be times with regular commute times, so that's not really a concern. But I also have concerns about the environmental impact. Ward 4 has the lowest tree canopy in the city of Reno, and we have some of the highest temperature increase in the city of Reno. And if you're not aware, the city of Reno has the highest temperature increase in the entire country. So that makes us the hottest of the hot. And anything that we do, like these types of development, that increase that is not good for the people that live here essentially. So anything that we could do to help mitigate that with more trees. We have the lowest tree canopy in the city, and more solar. It's great to hear that it would be, you know, set up to potentially use those things, but it'd be even better if we just built them on. And I know that the city of Reno just created a type of incentive to incorporate solar into development. There is, I forget exactly what it is, but it affects the number of parking spaces you need to put in. So if you're only gonna have, like, I forget how many employees you said, you don't need as many parking spaces, I would look into maybe installing solar. I think that would be, a good idea, I mean, for both the company and also for the, you know, the environment and the surrounding area. Again, the fencing, if there was another way that you guys could work out a design on the fence, I think there's other ways to keep people out without, big spikes. I don't want our community to look like we're just a big fenced off, yard. I also really, enjoy this area, this community, and I know that that's an industrial commercial zoning there, but it doesn't necessarily need to look like it for them.
Any other public comment? Looking at Snow, is there any public comment?
Seeing none, Mr. Chair.
I'd like to close with one last question myself. Jared Childer for the record. Can you speak some more about the water usage and the recycling of water, maybe within the project? How much does it just flow in and stay in circulation and evaporate, and then you have to add to the tanks, or?
So it's, yeah, through evaporative cooling, so we have large, essentially large swamp coolers. So the water will come in, it flows down the coils, and then that's actually, as the air is coming through those, it, cools the air, which is then pushed into the data hall. So if you saw the building, you know, you'll have one half that, one half of, or one side of the building has, air intake louvers, and then through with the water going over the swamp coolers, the air is then cooled. Now, how the air handlers work, you know, I think this is probably pretty standard, but these particularly are supposed to, that any water that is not used for the evaporative cooling feature is then recycled, and it continues to recycle until it reaches a certain, I don't know how they test when the water is no longer, clean enough or has too many particles in it, but at that point, then it's released to the sanitary.
All right, thank you for your presentation. Thank you. And then next up for them is Daniel second for planning commission as well. All right. Comes now to our opportunity to have item C2, which is L&H conditional use permit.
No, I got it. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us tonight. We're excited to share this project with you and to hear your feedback. I'm here representing L&H Concrete. They are a proud local family-owned business that has been serving Northern Nevada for decades. Our client, Matt Long, took over the business started by his father in the 90s. So L&H Concrete has deep roots in this community, and this project is a reflection of their commitment to continuing their legacy in a way that benefits the neighborhood and the region. The property we're discussing tonight, it's a vacant parcel located on the south side of North Virginia, just west of Golden Valley Road. It's 6.7 acres in 7 acres in size, and we're proposing to construct an 8,300 square foot building. This is going to serve as their concrete office with storage inside and outdoor storage located behind the property. The zoning designation for this parcel is mixed-use suburban, and the master plan designates it for industrial use. Our proposal aligns with both designations and complies with city requirements for this type of development. Can we go back to one slide? So we're requesting the approval for a conditional use permit to allow the outdoor storage and also a non-residential development within 300 feet of residentially zoned properties. If you look at this site, you can see the railroad, and then there's some mobile homes. They don't trigger residential adjacency standards because it's around 200 feet, but it's within that 200-foot buffer. So this is the site plan. Some key features, as you can see, that's the building near North Virginia. That's the gravel parking lot with the paved access in the back. We're proposing an above-ground retention pond, which is in the northeast corner. And the southern portion of the site will not be disturbed, so no runoff is being directed towards the south, from the proposed improvements. We're also proposing 6 feet sidewalks all along the frontage, to support the upcoming RTC improvements in the North Virginia corridor. The proposed parking lot layout and design provides for adequate parking, area circulating, including ingress, egress, on-premise, circulation, maneuvering. The proposed site layout provides necessary access for service, emergency vehicles, and provides safe and convenient interaction between vehicles and pedestrians. Parking capacity to serve the project is provided at a rate required by the code for MS zone parcels. Here's the landscape plan. Go a little deep into that. So the landscaping is proposed and is consistent with the RMC standards for mixed-use suburban. Again, because we do not trigger residential adjacency, there's no additional screening, but we do have plants in the back of the property that does face the mobile home park across the railroad. We are calling for a fence in the front yard, and we'll have that fully landscaped along the frontage, along North Virginia. That's the elevation, how the building's gonna look like. I do not have the architect here today to go over the details, but it does meet some of the additional triggers that comes with MS zoning. You have to meet with 5 out of 9 architectural standards, and also provide that ground level interest with 40% transparency that comes with MS zone. So it is a nicer looking building than what you would find for, say, I zoning or IC zoning, which are not as stringent as MS zoning. So in the IT trip generation manual, there's no specific rate for maintenance shops, but the project is, can't see, okay. But the project is expected to generate minimal traffic with 5 employees that are coming in during the AM peak hour and departing during the PM peak hour. So they've compared it to the warehouse that would house 5 employees, and as you can see, it's pretty similar. 26 daily trips, very minimal, 8 AM peak hour trips and 8 PM peak hour trips. It's important to us that this project remains a good neighbor to the surrounding area. We do have the Chewy site that's next to us, which is a very high intensity 24/7 operation. Our project is low intensity with significantly lower noise levels. We're also not requesting for 24/7 operations. This is gonna operate Monday through Friday, your regular business hours. The operation specifically is just the office use with the 5 employees inside, and then vehicle parking. The outdoor storage at the back of the property, that's RVs, those are minimal noise generating activities, and then the noise is below the noise ordinance, the threshold for PM noise levels as well. And also their work trucks, which are not gonna be, they're mostly in field, but when they do come to the facility, they have the shut off system, the kill switches, so to prevent idling noise. General findings, we're confident this project meets all the necessary requirements. It aligns with the city of Reno code, City of Reno Reimagined Master Plan, and the purposes of the mixed-use suburban zoning district in which the site is located. It's compatible with the surrounding developments. The proposed use meets all applicable development standards set forth in the RNC. The public services and facilities are available to serve the project. And it is a compatible use that's permitted in this area and will not, most importantly, this project won't be detrimental to the public's health, safety, or welfare. Thank you again for your time and for allowing us to share our vision for this project. We're here because we value your input and want to ensure that this project contributes positively to the community. We're happy to answer any questions or concerns you might have. I also have the project engineer here with me to answer any design specific questions.
Victoria Love for the record. My first name is. You guys? Okay, that's fine. They come in, they load up, they come out onto the road. They're gonna meet a certain standard that they have to maintain with their rock, and what happens if there's still outside of your property? Are you guys gonna take responsibility for it? How does that work? As far as cleanup, because the road is one way, so you're taking one very vital direction. If there is a spill, that's shut that down.
So they're actually not housing any concrete at this facility. This is basically their shop. So they're not storing any concrete bags or producing any concrete in this facility.
Okay, so what's this gonna be used for?
The back outdoor storage, that's for RVs, boats.
So it's not even a concrete, it's an RV storage?
So it's a joint collab, between the concrete facility and I believe another tenant who would want to use that for RV
So
storage.
you're subleasing out the back and half of the whole block?
Well, let me give the project engineer a chance to answer the questions as well.
Sean Tubman for the record. Owens Concrete is a concrete installation company. They pour sidewalks and stuff. And by that, they form sidewalks that the concrete would come on a concrete truck from Nevada Cement or something like that. They have the tools to do all the concrete work, and that's what they're gonna be storing here. The vehicles that they need to repair, their trucks and stuff.
One shop.
Yeah, and then the office in the front of the house for their full-time employees that are coordinating all field work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is mostly just a big parking lot, and those two-story bays, are there gonna be any, repair work done on the trucks in there, or are they just storing trucks?
No, there's minor repair work, if the work trucks need them.
Maintenance, things like, not major repair.
I believe not. Yeah, maintenance of the work truck. And I did get clarification from the client, they're using like, Chevy Silverados, as their work truck, which just your passenger truck.
John, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's still not sure what this is all about. It doesn't seem to make much sense.
They really need an office for the employees, their family owned. I think this is their next step.
And you're using the property for other purposes that for added income besides just the shop area.
I mean, there is an aspect for the RV storage in the back. They really don't need that big of a facility. It is a good sized, facility, so they only need that much amount. For their building.
Here, Chavez for the record, so just to clarify further, the allotted property, how many bays do they think that they would be given for RV or boat storage in this project?
For the record, they don't have dedicated bays. The space in the back is just a graded level lot currently. I mean, this lot is being used for storage of vehicles currently.
Yeah.
So it's really using a similar use with the addition of the shop in front, basically. They'll be securitizing the rear gravel area there and their shop bays on the side, but.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions or comments from the board? Yes, Rebecca, to start?
Rebecca Fine for the record.
I've been under the assumption, and I could be completely wrong, that a lot of these jobs and these developments that are coming out here are supposed to benefit us. So how does this benefit us with RV storage and 5 employees? I'm sure there's plenty of office space in town for the other two sides, for the other two sides. Like, how is this going to benefit us in the valley? If they're not giving any employees a job, it's another storage unit, I mean, you know, chilling those out here right now.
This is a local firm that will do the local work.
They can look all they want, but how is this benefiting us? I'm very confused.
Can I say something on record, Victoria, to just say with, I mean, can we provide a note for you to take to the company and say, hey, can you help out if kids sports around the parks or something, you know, throw a little sponsorship for something out here if you're gonna come out there. Something, you know,
Thank you for that comment. Let's turn time over to Kelly. Kelly, you introduce yourself.
Yeah, Kelly Orr for the record. I do know this is a family-owned, place. They started in Carson. They're in Sparks. They have two very big community, well-known community establishment in the concrete business. There's not a lot of complaints, for what they offer, but what I see here is a snatch and grab. And you're just snatching some land, rezoning it, and then doing what you want with it that doesn't benefit our community. And unfortunately, I don't think it fits.
Quick correction on that, they're not rezoning the property.
But it's not a rezone. The current zoning is mixed use suburban, and they wanna stay mixed use suburban and not change it to industrial. Okay,
This is not a heavy intensive industrial use anyway.
yeah.
We're conforming to the mixed use suburban.
All right, any other follow-up questions from the board? Councilman.
Yeah, can we look at the, image again that shows the surrounding neighborhood? Satellite image, yeah, there. So can you please identify to me where the mobile homes are for me? Right along there? Those are mobile home parcel lots. Are you sure about that? Okay, because they look like rooftops to me from here, and I know that there's a housing development up there that I interact with a lot because of all the noise complaints from the Chewy warehouses. So I know that there are homes right there. Okay. So, and you're saying that mobile homes do not trigger any kind of additional screening or noise controls for residency?
No, so they do. Any kind of home triggers residential adjacency standards. If they're within that threshold of the distance from our property, where the property line ends and where their property line begins.
Okay,
And that is more than 150 feet, which per Reno code is the trigger.
okay,
You have to be within 150 feet. We are roughly around 192 at some point, and then 202 at some point.
we did just vote on some code changes, the last council meeting that actually changed it to 300 feet.
So the 300 is the buffer for triggering, so a non-residential development within 300 feet of residentially zoned properties would have to go to a CUP, which is one of the triggers for our CUP.
Okay, so part of that though is, requiring screening or noise control for that. So that's part of it as well. So I'm just asking if that's part of the plans that are being presented now, or part of the plans is included. I mean, I understand the CUP part, but it also includes, you know, providing that screening and noise barrier.
So we are providing trees at the back of the property, even though there's no significant activity, we are providing. And there's natural vegetation that we're not touching.
Okay, and that is in compliance with the new requirements that we voted on December 11th. Okay, just make sure on that. And then you're saying this whole back loop here is just for storage? Okay, so there's gonna be an 8,300 square foot building for 5 people, and then the rest is storage. Are you familiar with how many storage rental places we have on Virginia Street alone?
There are a few.
Yeah,
There's one right across the street, I think Shore Coast. It's the triangular, if you go back to the aerial. One more. So that triangular little parcel, that's storage.
yeah.
And they're crowded over there. It's storage. Yeah. There's definitely a need.
Yeah, well, I don't know if there's any,
Well, they're doing well in business, so.
yeah, yeah.
Last.
I do have additional questions, if anybody else wants to go, I think it's always 3 minutes.
But
Okay, so, are there any kind of federal rules that apply to communities that are lower income being disproportionately affected by development that could be seen as harmful or, cause environmental impacts, that happen, more in certain areas than other areas?
Not well versed in federal regulations, or state regulations in that matter. That being said, nothing was brought up. We did have conversations with staff, the planning manager, nothing of that sort was brought up. It's compatible with the surrounding uses.
Okay, another question would be, has there seemed to be any, desire or interest in storage of these types of vehicles, like maybe say further south in Reno? Because I don't personally know anybody that's storing any large vehicles or anything like that. I'm just wondering if maybe the storage could be closer to the people that need to use it. No interest down there?
Not aware. There might be, not well versed in it.
Okay. All right, yeah, I mean, I would just have to agree, it's, how many developments in a row has it been where it's less than 10 jobs and a significant footprint on our, square footage? I don't know if you're familiar with the land bill. It's probably not gonna be moving forward as it's written to get federal land for Reno and Stark to develop. We're running out of space, and I'm not sure that this is necessarily, what the community wants to see built in our land is, very precious. So, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, everyone.
any public comments about this topic? Yes, please, introduce yourself.
With regards to the storage part of it, it sounds like it's going to be open outdoor storage. And you kind of keep saying, are these in boats and such? Are these like people renting those spaces, but are these in boats that are working and they're taking and using regularly, but can't store in their backyard? Or like other spaces, or are these like RVs and boats that need fixed and are awaiting being fixed? Like, there's an open lot of, vehicles that aren't necessarily up to test. They can turn into especially houses.
It is going to be used as outdoor storage that's gonna house large vehicles long-term. It is not for maintenance. So it is a long-term outdoor storage.
Other comments regarding this project, either in person or on Zoom?
Seeing that, okay.
I just wanted to echo the concerns my neighbors, Chelsea Meadows for the record, the concerns that my neighbors have, in regards to only having, providing 5 jobs and just providing more storage, to our area, so, that's it.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing none, I'm due, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you for this presentation, and again, you're all submitted for January for your presentation on the plan commission. All right,
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
thank you so much. At this time, we'll move to item B for board, commission, committee, member reports and announcements. Chair Childs, for the record, the question is that I've had the opportunity to serve in my role for this past year.
Yeah.
What will happen next year?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, so in January, we will be bringing forward some items, that include the city clerk coming and doing a retraining or new training for the NAB members to go over the board OML process. We will also be having an update from Jennifer Finnegan regarding how the resolution now impacts us now that we're fully transitioned to, the sixth board. And we'll be doing a selection of chair and vice chair. So lots of things coming. We might flip the clerk and, Jennifer's presentation, so they might alternate. But you'll see a couple of those. So yeah.
Awesome. Anyone else, for reports or announcements? Okay. Next, would be, switch with you.
Yeah, yeah, Councilmember Ebert, for the record, just wanted to remind everybody again that starting in January, the NABs will be in the state airport. I know that, Abby mentioned that in the staff, update that she did, but, the state airport is a really great facility. I know it's a little bit further out to get to, but it should be a really great spot to transition to. We're gonna miss our friends at the library, but, yeah, it'll be a nice spot to go to too. So if you have people that are going to come or you want to bring with you, let them know not to come here. Yeah. And I just want to say thank you to Abby at the end of the year. Thanks to everybody for coming and being part of the NAB. And Abby's done incredible work doing the staff updates and just really being responsive to the needs of the community and things that I've asked her to provide, you know, the NABs and things like that. So thank you very much, Abby.
Awesome.
Love coming here.
All right. So, future agenda items. I apologize, yes.
Right, Christina Delvia for the record. I have a procedural question. As Sam, I sit on the planning commission. How are these comments that we discussed on tonight, how are they translated or transferred to our packet? Because I don't see a lot of this stuff when I'm looking through or not, you know. So, you know what would be helpful then? If you guys would then show up. Yeah.
Oh,
Meeting.
Rebecca's there.
I've done one through Zoom.
I wasn't there. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you for that question, but future agenda items, from the NAB.
Councilmember Ebert has requested, a couple of different organizations come, so we're looking at Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce in January. NV Energy, we're working on extending that invitation to have them come and present, and I know there were some other items from last meeting, so obviously updates on that, so hopefully we'll get those slated next week.
Yeah, and also just to jump on that, I'm trying to get a journal now, so I can write all my updates down and not be like space case when it's like time for me to get my updates. I know, but, yeah, NV Energy is gonna come, and they're also going to bring in, somebody that, would be good to have at the same time as Chamber of Commerce, because Chamber of Commerce wants to hear from NAB board members and members of the community to discuss what kinds of development we'd like to see out here, be it commercial or, you know, restaurants, whatever, shopping. When people hear commercial, they don't always think shopping, but that's really what it means, like your strip malls, things like that. So I'm really just trying to hear from the community what people want to see out here, and then she'll meet with all the members of the Chamber of Commerce and see, you know, if any of them are interested in being out here. And, just some back, NDOT and RTC, I'm working on having them. I can't speak to NDOT. They might be, you know, a little sore from last time they were out here. But RTC, sorry, I'm trying to get them to, come quarterly to give updates. And their updates are great because it's in regards to, road improvements, widenings, but also, public transportation options. So things like the, what do you call it, where you call it, flex ride where they can get you. That bubble keeps expanding. I'm trying to get a route that goes all the way to Cold Springs and down. But it's just gonna be a long time before that happens. So they are expanding the flex ride bubble out to get people to bus stops. So just wanted to share that, and that'll give them an opportunity to hear, too, about what kinds of, public transportation we have out here. So trying to get that on a more regular schedule, so we can get updates about all these things that are happening on the timing of things, because sometimes the timing of projects changes too. That there's big stuff coming for, Military Drive, Lear, Lear's a little further out, Moya is gonna be getting widened here, in the next couple of years, and also, I also had a meeting with city engineers to talk about school safety zones here at Alice Smith, which I know is a big concern, when the charter school came to, the, city council, for their public hearing. There's been a lot of, concerns brought to me, from parents regarding the pickup and drop off at Alice Smith. So, I'm gonna be working with the Washoe County School District to see what we can do to make that, area safer. They work with the safe routes to school. They're gonna work, with the school district and do some observations and try to just make that better. Same thing with Stead Elementary and O'Brien. Stead's gonna be building a new campus. But until that happens, they're gonna check in the area. And then, also, a bus stop that's on Military Road, that's just on a dirt patch of the road. They're looking at potentially moving where that bus stop is due to safety concerns from children having to run across Military Road. We have crosswalks, we have flashing beacons. So they're gonna be looking into making changes to that for safety reasons. So, that was a meeting I just had with, school district and city engineers this last week. So more to come on that, but, making some, strides in the right direction, so. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, there's a question for you, as council member. With Amazon moving south, is there any plans for somebody else to come in and take over the space? Or how is this? Not that I'm aware of, yeah, not that I'm aware of, so Amazon's moving to their lease up and they're building a new facility, and I don't know if Amazon's gonna own that new facility, if we're gonna lease down there, but they said that they're also gonna have a slightly smaller, staff at that new location too. So they're hoping for the timing to be that the new one opens about the same time as this one shuts down, so they can transition people there, but they don't know like what the construction's gonna take. I do not know, if there's anybody going to take that space or what the timing of that would be. Amazon has reached out to me and we've spoken about it, but, the property owner of the building has not reached out to me, so I don't know what essentially is going on the plan. Yeah, so, hopefully something goes in there and, you know, hopefully maybe we can slow down a little bit with the warehouse development, because we seem to be having, some vacancies out here. For better planning, I'm a little bit paranoid, and I'm sure a lot of us are too, that, you know, these places go out of business and then we're like Detroit up in there. I know. You know, and we just have a bunch of abandoned buildings and, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Give it to Diane.
It's possible to get RPD or.
RPD, oh, yes, I'm sorry. RPD will be, yes, they'll be back to our regular schedule, yes.
They come quarter,
They do, yeah,
And then I have one thing
Same with ours.
for Megan, Washoe County is part of it. Is there any way they could come and say anything on, like, just a big presentation of what's to come, what changes they're looking at, and get some opinion?
yeah.
So there's a lot of parents concerned about that.
Oh, the school district, you mean?
True,
Yeah.
but either that or just, like you said, they're changing that military thing.
Yeah.
So is there someone about updating?
Well,
In the area of what?
yeah.
Because a lot of them are asking a lot of questions on like, well, what's this new STED school, is it a new school, is it
Yeah.
zoning? There's still gonna be a high school, is there another middle school?
Yeah, we can ask, Washoe County School District to come, if that's possible, give a presentation. Yeah, I can't guarantee that they will, but I'll ask them to come. And then the stop on Military Road, that's gonna be kind of, could potentially be in conjunction with RTC, so it might be good to have them at the same time, but it could also just be the school district, where they have to kind of look at that and see where they want to move it, just because they're gonna be doing the widening and all of that too, and also they need to reassess because there's so many more houses on those roads and 32, so like, that might not even be the right spot to have it. So, yeah.
Right outside my street.
Yeah.
Like, there's an option, there's sidewalk side
Yeah,
to that street that they could pick them up, so they're not crossing the street, that would be too.
yeah, yeah, I know.
Thank you, we're gonna make some progress here, I know. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and invite public comment at this time.
All right, any closing public comments? And then seeing none.
Sorry. Hi, Samantha Straussman for the record. A couple of things I've noticed, the signals at the intersection, notably the one at Golden Valley Road and Northwood Boulevard, North Virginia Street and Bonanza, and also North Virginia and Parr. They've been out a lot recently, like in the last couple of months. I'm just wondering what is up with that. I think I'm grateful. Is that NV Energy? Is that the city? Who kind of does that?
So, yeah, depending on the jurisdiction, so North Virginia would be NDOT. NDOT, and then you said Buck.
Right here.
The one right here,
Yeah.
by the gas station.
Yeah, I wouldn't know off the top of my head.
I've been working on it.
But the light,
Temp
Yeah.
one?
No, it's the permanent one.
Because I've heard that there's some issues with the temp one sometimes too.
No, the permanent one, they've been working on it, is that truck like working on it, but with all the construction, when that signal's not working, it's kind of a mess out here.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what's going on with that.
we'll double check, because we'll double check. If you, I'll give you my card and then you can follow up, and then we can touch base.
And, something I've noticed is, I don't know the jurisdiction of this, but the sidewalks around North Valley High School, like directly by the high school, they're getting cleaned of snow. So we have a lot of kids who walk to and from school, and the sidewalks along North Hills Boulevard, some of them are private property, but some are not. And they're also not getting cleaned. And I've seen kids walking in the street because there's so much snow on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I'm curious who we need to bring this attention to.
So it could be, you said North Hills Boulevard?
Yes, basically from like Spearhead, where I think the school property ends there, like all the way to the intersection. 'Cause there's kids who walk under the highway.
Well, it's the Reno Direct, sorry, tell you for the record.
Yeah.
You wanna call Reno Direct
Well,
to
okay.
report it.
Yeah, and then if it is private property,
It could be private property or it could be
I
town.
know it's
Yeah,
weird,
they can
because I
Yeah.
think it's a hodgepodge mix, and it's not getting done consistently, and I'm just,
Yeah.
I live right there, and I see kids walking in the street. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
Put me in charge of that. You see me out there with the road.
Thank you for those, comments. Anyone else with public comment tonight?
seeing none, Mr. Chair.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming out. Look forward to seeing you in the new year and, enjoy the rest of your holiday.
Merry Christmas, everybody. And now, with a motion to adjourn. Aye.
John White first.
Okay, and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah.